It is go time. Teamless Tuesday. We've got round 24. It's a very important week for your head-to-head finals. A lot of injuries last week. A lot of guys who, not the top tier guns, so no Payne Haas tier sort of injuries, but a lot of injuries to guys like Ryan Madison, Scott Sorensen, Reece Walsh, Reed Marnie, these sorts of players. So we've got a lot to talk about today. Let's see who we got in the house here too. Saya, mate, we'll go through those updates for round 24. So we're going to go team by team. Talk about those. Rob, please be good to go, Reece Walsh. Now, what I've heard about Reece Walsh is that he is seeing a specialist. They're getting some advice on that issue, and it could potentially be a surgery that's 3 to 4 weeks, or it could be nothing. So keep an eye out for that. I wish I had better news for you. Aussie Frost King, how you going, mate? Madison, yeah, so it's looking like 3 to 4 weeks for Madison. He'll be out for a while, which means he's not very useful to us in our leagues. Got a hand fracture. Yep. That's right for Rob's, for Reece Walsh. Then out for the season potentially as well. Ryan Madison, save my mids. Oh, sorry, mate. Greg, you're early, mate. Love you too, bud. Love you too. And then we'll keep rolling through. Madison somehow named. Parramatta love to name silly team lists, man. Like they love to get out to a lead against Penrith too, and then choke away the wins. So it's a tough life for us Parramatta fans, and lies on the team list are definitely a part of that. All right, let's get right into it here. So Panthers and the Storm first. Now, on the Panthers side of the ball, we got Laurie, Taruva, Tungo, McLean, Toe, Luai, and Cleary. Pretty much unchanged here. I want to check the extended bench and just see. Dylan Edwards is in jersey number 20 there. All right, so we've got Edwards as well as James Fisher-Harris on the extended bench. I reckon there's a good chance that Edwards comes back this week. On the bench here, too, Talau, Eisenhuth, Patea, and Cole. Nothing super noteworthy there. Okay, a few things I want to talk about here with the Storm team list here. So first things first, if you got Dane Laurie, I wouldn't trust him completely this week. I think there's a good chance that Edwards comes in, but this is an early game in the round, so you can just wait and see what happens. He's not a buy right now. That's the big thing. He's not a buy, but if you do have him already, see how he goes. If he starts, he's good, and you keep for one more week if you did have him as well. So I don't mind that shout. For guys like Tungo there, Toe, who did well last week, if you got on those boys, you're very, very happy with that score. Casey McLean, really quiet in that game against Parramatta. Look, he's a rookie center. It's going to happen. There's been some big scores, low scores. The work rate isn't fantastic, and we've seen Taylor May in that spot. It hasn't been really, really good. So if I had McLean, I'd be putting him in that loophole spot 100%. Same with Isaac Tungo. They're probably the ones that you're going to be putting in those loophole spots. So just keep an eye on that. But yeah, I reckon that's probably what's going to happen there. So yeah, use them as loopholes. In terms of Cleary, I think he's still a very solid captain. The Storm is a good matchup. In general, it's going to be a game where Penrith have to play hard, which means Cleary's going to be running the ball a bunch. He's probably going to struggle for some of those big attacking plays, but at the same time, there are points scored in every game, and this one will be no different. So I think Cleary is a good captain option to start the round. Isaiah Yeo would be your vice captain, by the way. If you do Cleary as your captain, make Isaiah Yeo your vice captain. Then they're just locked into that first game, and you've got flexibility for the rest of your side. Now, forward pack here, Leota, Kenny, Smith. We got Gaia, Henry, and Yeo. Okay, really interesting here. So obviously Sorensen is gone with a hammy. Looks like 2 to 4 weeks is what I'm hearing right now. Not fully confirmed, but that's the word on the street. 4 weeks left in the season. So basically he's done and dusted for your fantasy side. Now, what are we going to do here? I mean, Liam Martin picked up an injury as well. They got more details on his injury. For Liam Martin, here we go. So Fish Harris back. Edwards doesn't play, blah, blah, blah. Liam Martin suspended. How long is Liam Martin suspended, guys? That's one I forgot to check on. Liam Martin suspension. How long is that? Because that's kind of interesting. So there's a few angles. A few angles I want to take with this Penrith pack. The big thing that I want to talk about here, yeah, you're right, Damien. That kick that he sort of took the legs out on. Yeah, you're right. So big thing I want to talk about here is Liam Henry, right? So Liam Henry's only played 3 games in the back row, or in the second row spot this year. But in those 3 games, Liam Henry has averaged 62.5 points, right? So I'm looking at him, and I'm looking at teams that have Ryan Madison, teams that have Scott Sorensen, and I'm looking at the fact that he's about 600K. So you don't need to have a lot of money to make a simple one trade, one of those guys out, and get Liam Henry in. Now, this team list is not super convincing, right? So he could potentially lose minutes in future weeks when Liam Martin comes back. There's a few things that go wrong. Maverick Geyer is getting more and more minutes in the back row as well. Scott Sorensen wasn't keeping up that 80-minute role either. So Liam Henry, I'm very intrigued by it. I want to do a bit more study on my side, but at this stage, I'm leaning towards a Ryan Madison to Liam Henry trade this week. I just reckon the upside there with Liam Henry is massive, and there's no one else at that price point who's going to do what Liam Henry can do. Now, is he going to get the big minutes for the long run here? Potentially, not guaranteed. But if he does, the upside is a 60 average and potentially the best second rower, which, he's not eligible there right now, but the best second rower in fantasy in a way, which, hey, could be a good shout. Good shout here too, Jahu. Mav could be a decent cash down as well, 242K. Yeah, exactly right. So if you need a cash out, again, how long is Liam Martin out for with suspension, guys? Someone just dropped me an update on that. I've forgotten what it is. I think it was only 1 week from memory, but which sort of reduces the value of that cash out. But hey, it's still an option. And then, fair question here: should I captain Yo over Cleary because of the tough opponent? I don't think so. I think Cleary steps up in this game, and I think you stick with Cleary is my view here. And then, bro, I'm screwed. I have 3 mids only, and they're McInnes, Madison, and Sorensen with 1 trade left. Have to play 16 for the last few weeks. That's brutal. That's really brutal. That's what we talk about, trying to have that backup player in each position. Really unlucky there. It's a rough go. I'll keep Keon this week versus the Tigers. Yeah, not a bad shout as a captain. Big pod. And then rolling through here, I need to sell Sorensen, but only have 1 trade left. Yeah, I mean, that could be the option, Liam Henry, like we're talking about. Liam Henry could be a good go. Keon Kolomatangi, back to second row with Murray at lock. Is Cam a buy? That makes Cam Murray very interesting. It also confirms the concerns that I was getting a bit of roasting for this with Keon Kolomatangi for a while there, but he's finally stepped into that role, which I'm kind of relieved by because I didn't jump on Kolomatangi. I was just sort of thinking, surely Murray's back at lock at some point. Well, here he is. He's back at lock. How good. Anything else here on so Liam Martin, 1 game ban. Yeah, exactly right. So nothing to be done there. And then let's keep rolling through. Yeah, around 25. Liam Martin's back. All right, let's keep rolling through here for the Storm game. So for the Storm side of things, we've got Pappenhausen, Warbrick, Howarth, Meany, Anderson, Munster, and Hughes. Pretty straightforward backline. Pretty much what we expect from this team. Nothing to be done here necessarily. So if you own Munster or Hughes, great, good. They're just going to keep on going. I think they'll be fine. You keep on starting them. Don't worry about the tough opponent. If you own Pappenhausen, he's definitely a loophole option because he can go so big and so small. The rest of the back line here, so if you're a Howarth owner, for example, or maybe an Anderson, or I've seen a few Meany teams as well, they're guys that you want to be loopholing this week too. So a lot of untrustworthy outside backs in this game, basically, that you're loopholing because it's such a tough matchup. Forward pack here, Sofa Solomona, Grant, King, Bloor, Katoa, and Loero. So Katoa comes back in. We've got Wishart, Alepu, Kamika, and McDonald. So yeah, with Sean Bloor, didn't get the 80 minutes last week. I find him hard to trust. This is a game where if you've got a really deep roster, you could loophole him, but I don't think many teams have a roster that deep. So I think you might have to trust him. But Eli Katoa is another one that's been interesting. He was sort of hobbling around. They described last week as a bit of a rest week almost for him rather than injury week. So he's back. Again, I'm not fully trusting the return here. And this is where I got rid of Eli Katoa from my team, just sort of thinking, I don't want to carry that injury risk. I don't want to carry the fact that the Storm are going so well, they might rest him anyway down the stretch. And I just wanted to hop off, basically. So that's where I'm at there. Yeah, Damien, rough go. Your boy Wishart, number 14 jersey. So mate, he's a killer, but unfortunately, he hasn't been able to hold that spot. Tough one with Munster going in. Now, questions here. Pick up Harry Grant. I'm not super hyped on the Harry Grant pickup this week versus Penrith. It is an under-strength Penrith forward pack, so theoretically could be a good option. He could tear up, but Harry Grant's scoring has been really average, even with the big attacking plays, so I'm not super hyped. We'll talk about Madison as well when we get to Parramatta too. Maddo is out. I think he will be, by the way. Do you go Henry or Murray? Murray at lock is automatic and super safe. Henry is that upside play if you need the spare cash. So I personally can't afford Murray. I can go to Henry, so that's where I'm leaning. Hamole or Sua. Sua's got a really nice run of fixtures, but so does Hamole. I'm probably leaning Olakau'atu just because I like Manly better than I like Dragons. But if you like the Dragons, then go that way instead. Best chippy to buy this week. Maverick Guy is not a bad one for 1 week rental. If you need to start him this week, but we can talk about some more chippies as we go through. Is Kelmar a good pickup for draft? Let's see the Parramatta team list, but he could be a good option. What about Fletcher Myers? Yeah. I mean, again, do you believe in South Sydney? I'm not super hyped on Souths, but if you believe in them, then he's a decent option as well. Ryan Madison. Yeah, it's a rough go with Ryan Madison. And then I'll keep rolling through. Anything else? Keep Reed Money. We'll talk about him at the Dogs team list, but I think he should be okay. It really depends on your trade situation there. All right, let's keep rolling through here. So next game, we've got Manly and the Warriors. Now, for Manly and the Warriors here, Manly side of the ball, we got Tommy Turbo, Saab, Talau, Garrick, Hopewadi. We got Brooks and Cherry Evans. Brooks absolutely dominated. A couple of things I want to call out here. Tommy Turbo, massive game last week. We talked about him as a buy option. I'm not super hyped on him in general just because he has to have that sort of game to score well in fantasy, right? So if you believe in that, and if you believe Manly can go on a tear, which they have great fixtures, by the way, then he has to play Dally M level to be worthwhile as a fantasy option. Now, if you're backing that, you're backing that, and I like that option, but there are other options around as well. I do think the Warriors matchup is a friendly one, though. So Tommy Turbo isn't the bona fide locked-in buy that a lot of people will say he is. He's more of a specky, a shot that you're taking on a guy who's a bit more risky. Going through the list here, Ruben Garrick, really safe when he's goal kicking in Manly going so well. So again, if you need a guy in that price range, I don't mind Garrick at all. Rolling down the list here, we've got Brooks taking a lot of the kick meters. So last week, DCE kicked less than Luke Brooks. DCE saved his score with a try and a try assist pretty late in that game too. So I'm looking at DCE and thinking, there's obviously something wrong with him, at least last week. He might be all right this week, but he's nursing a bit of an injury. He's not a captain option this week. That's one of the big things I want to hammer there. You can still do it. It's just very risky when you have that injury lingering. I'm not sure what the injury is, but Brooks was taking every single general play kick, right? So that doesn't normally happen, and that's part of why Brooks went so well as well. We got 87 points last week. Forward pack here, we got Paseka, Croker, Aloye, Olakau'atu, Lawton, Jake Trbojevic. Bench, is there anything interesting here? We've got Gordon, Turbo, Bullimore, Brown. All right, Kohler in the 18th man spot. Sipley as well. So for Kohler might sneak back into the team at some point. I don't know if they want to disrupt this team too much. They've been playing pretty good footy. So if they're going to disrupt this team, if they're going to bring Kohler back in, that's actually a really hard call. They might bring if we view Kohler as a center, right? Turbo's playing too late. You're not moving Turbo to fullback. So out of fullback. So Turbo stays at fullback. If Kohler comes in at center, it's either going to be Garrick or Talau, maybe that move to the wing. Talau and Hopewadi are the two guys that might get dropped. Probably leaning towards Hopewadi. He's had a few injuries he's been dealing with, so he might get a rest. If they're going to bring Kohler in, it's going to be Talau to wing and Hopewadi out. That's my guess, but I reckon they might not even change this. Like, Kohler's not a guarantee to come back in, so just keep that in mind. Forward pack here. Olakau'atu is the one we want to talk about, basically. And there's nothing else here for fantasy right now. So Olakau'atu, again, you're looking at the fixtures for Manly. They've got some really good fixtures coming up. And you're thinking, all right, Olakau'atu is going to go on a tear. He's going to play really good footy, and he's going to score a bunch of points. That's the call you're making. He is a guy who can score you 35 points. He can score you 80 points. You're sort of picking the form. It's 4 weeks left. Look at the specific fixtures. I like him a lot. We'll talk about him more in the buy, hold, sell video, but I'm a big fan of Olakau'atu for the run home. All right, going to the Warriors side of things, we got CNK, DWZ, Pompey, RTS, Montoya, CHT, Johnson, SJ. A lot of acronyms. And then Fanua Blake, AFB, Egan, Barnett, Niokore, Capewell, Walker. Bench has nothing super noteworthy. Jazz Tavanga is getting a few more minutes, but not enough to be worth looking at in fantasy. Now, for the back line here, again, nothing I'm super interested in for fantasy. So there's no one who's really a bona fide gun. We can mention SJ. So SJ one more year. Oh, man, that would be great. No one wants SJ to retire, but I'll tell you what, he pulled out last week with that injury. I'm a bit worried about it. Like, he got the 47 with 3 try assists the week before. He's not a guy that you can really like before we were sort of saying, oh, there's that 5% chance that he pops off. I don't think that's even really there anymore. I think it's like a 1% chance now. So if you've sort of given up on your league and you're in the toilet bowl matchup, bottom 8 finals, whatever it is, and you just want to have a laugh, Sean Johnson, you can go and do it, go and captain, whatever. But if you're playing hard fantasy, I'm pretty firmly, and I don't normally do this, but I'm going to say no to that move. And I hate to tell you guys what to do, but I just reckon Sean Johnson, it's done and dusted for fantasy relevance, right? So he's going to have some big games, I reckon, on the run home. Maybe for Supercoach, it could be relevant, but for fantasy, it's done. Rest of the team here, I don't really trust any of these Warriors backline players as starters in your team. So if you've got them, I'm pretty much deprioritizing a lot of them. In the forward pack, it's a bit different. So Fanua Blake had more minutes, more points last week, was really solid. Mitch Barnett, big game as well. He just keeps on pumping out big scores. Wade Egan is a pseudo 80-minute hooker, right? So for Wade Egan, if you have him, he's not expensive and he's putting out some all right scores. I think there's bigger priorities to sell. And if you've got Wade Egan at this point, hold on to him. Just stick with him for a while. Probably the same with Dylan Walker as well. There's just no sense in trading these guys out. And then, I wouldn't be targeting them as buys, but as holds, definitely decent options. If I was asked about targeting Fanua Blake or Barnett, because there's a lot of Sorensen and Madison owners out there, as buys, they both miss round 27, right? So you get 3 games and you miss the hardest round of the year. Barnett is the one that's scoring reliably and scoring well enough to justify that, but he's so expensive. So I couldn't really recommend buying either of these guys, even if you're looking at Kalamatangi straight swap or whatever it is. I wouldn't do it. Just stay off them if you don't have them and stick with them if you do. Keep rolling through here. So next game, we're rolling into Friday night. And Parramatta will have another cracking game. Someone has to get in contact with the Eels and let them know that the game goes for 80 minutes, not 73. Not that I'm salty or anything. Now for the Chookies, Teddy, Tupou, Suoli'i, Manu, Young. We got Kiri and Walker, stacked back line. I think all these guys could go really well this week. Dom Young being back so soon is interesting. With Dom Young, if you're a Dom Young owner, I'm a little worried about it being a hamstring injury return and the fact that he runs as chaotically as he does, right? So if you're a Dom Young owner, you start him against Parramatta. Obviously, you start him against Parramatta. But if there's any way that you can put him in a loophole, or it depends how your team is configured, if you can put him in a loophole and you've got maybe Reece Walsh that you can use in that spot or whatever it is, I'm really a big fan of that. Just mitigate your risk a little bit with Dom Young, but at the same time, the upside is massive. So you don't want to bench him, but just try and put him in a loophole if you can work that out. For the rest of the team here, they should all go well. So Tedesco, he's not as reliant on easy, hard matchups, whatever it is, but he should go well in this game. If you got Sam Walker, you stick with Sam Walker this week. He's in good form lately, so you keep riding that wave. Joey Manu is an interesting pod if you were looking at that as well. So some of you guys stuck with him, but if you got 550K, Joey Manu's at a cut price, should theoretically score well in this game against Parramatta. And then for the forward pack here, again, Spencer Leniu, Brandon Smith, Lindsay Collins, not relevant. It's probably Crichton and Watson we're going to talk about here. So Gussie Crichton. For Gussie Crichton, he has some big attacking upside in this game. That's sort of what you're relying on. Also, learn bottle. Bro, one message at a time. Come on. But yeah, for Gussie Crichton, you're relying on some big attacking stats here. He's sort of been up and down lately. This is a matchup where he could go well. But I don't know. I think people are sort of fading Gus Crichton a little bit too much right now. He's still that guy. So he's had a couple of bad weeks, but I think for the last 4 weeks of the season, he's going to be the top edge back rower going around. So, or maybe not the top, but one of the tops. Dave Fafita's up there too. And I think a guy like Ola Kawatu could steal a spot as well. But Gus Crichton is a very viable option and a bit of a pod right now too. Actually quite lowly owned, which is pretty crazy to see. Connor Watson, let's see this team because he starts at lock. We got Tupanua, White, Butcher, May. It is a minute-eating bench, which is terrible news. But Tupanua is the backup center. So that's good news. I think Watson's going to go well this week. I actually put out the feelers to a lot of other fantasy creators and guys who have Instagram pages and podcasts and all that, and asked them for their top scorer under 700K for this week. And a few of them have gone Connor Watson. Blindside was one of them that went Watson. I think NRL Fantasy Kings went Watson as well. So a lot of people are backing Watson for a bounce back game. Could be an attacking stat game as well. I'm hoping he bounces back, but I reckon the fact that they're going to probably run up a decent score in this game means that he might get a rest. So I'm a bit worried about Connor Watson, but at the same time, you got to keep starting him. I have no other choice. And if you want to look at buying him, I like him better than the Warriors guys too. I think he's a better option than the Warriors boys because you get 4 games out of him. It's that simple, right? For the Eels here, and I'll do some questions after that. So Gutho, Tungo, Penasini, Talangi, Russell, Brown, and RC. Brown had a really quiet game last week. Gutho has been killing it lately. When we bought Gutho earlier in the year, we bought him without Moses thinking this would happen, and he absolutely screwed us over. Parramatta just screwed me over at every turn, and he screwed me over for fantasy. But now he's absolutely killing it. So if you were a brave man, like a really brave man, you could look at Gutho. I'm not going to do it. But the fact that Blaze Talangi is leaving the club is a good news for Gutho keeping the fullback spot. For Dylan Brown, I think you got to stick with him. You just got to stick with him. He's going to have some good scores, going to have some low scores. The kick meters have been a bit down. The attacking stats haven't been there either. So it's a tough one. And good shout, Jahu, too. Gutho doing well on my draft side. Yeah. I had to get a bit of Parramatta representation into that draft team. Now, for the rest of the back line here, I'm really not trusting any of it. So Jake Tungo, I've got in my team. I'm waiting for him to get dropped so I can use him as a loophole. He just keeps holding a spot for some reason. Then Penasini, Talangi, Russell. Again, like they're all guys who are capable of scores, but I'm not trusting them. For the forward pack here, we have a forward pack that was copied and pasted from last week with about as much effort as Parramatta put in on the field. So we've got RCG, Hands, Greg, Lane, Cartwright, and then Madison, who obviously isn't going to play. So what's going to happen here with Maddo out? Moretti's out as well, which I think he picked up an injury recently. So I was thinking Moretti might steal some of those minutes. I mean, what's going to happen, right? So Sanders, Sevo, Dury, Harper, Makatoa. They could bring, Sevo could come in on the wing potentially in this game, but it's not super fantasy relevant. And then Dury or Makatoa probably sneaks into the side. If Parramatta are still sort of going for it, I'm probably thinking that Dury might sneak in, but the safe option is Makatoa. Who comes in and starts at lock? It's probably going to be Joe Offa-Hengawi. So Offa, he played big minutes at lock for the Tigers a few years ago, so he could come in and do that again potentially. We could also see Sean Lane move to lock for a bit of this game and Kelma Tuolangi slide into the back row. That might even happen at the start of the game. There's going to be a late change, basically. So Para playing mind games. They're really playing some high IQ sort of mind games here. And Madison's out. Madison's out for 3 to 4 weeks. So Traders, though, he's out. Keep an eye on the Instagram page. I'll post if anything changes because I'm a Madison owner too. But right now, consider him gone. For the rest of the team here, a few questions about Cardi. And yeah, Para playing mind games with their fans. Yeah, we're the only ones they're screwing with, apparently. Pong going for 30 this week is a big call. Then Longy, would you do Cardi straight swap for Ponga? Let me have a look at the Ponga matchup this week, but I think that's a good trade. Yeah, I think it's a good trade. Cardi's fine, but Ponga's better. Should I keep Alamotti? Nah, sell Alamotti. He's maybe he comes back in the last round, but probably doesn't come back at all. Sean Lane, KPP, or Leilua. Pick 2 for the draft grand final. Ooh, I'm trusting Sean Lane, so I had Lane in my side last week in my cash league. And then it's KPP or Leilua. I'm probably leaning towards Leilua over KPP, but I need to look at the matchups. And then where's Blaze going? He's off to Penrith. Yeah, little chicken. Joining Penrith. God damn, I'm so salty. I'm such a salty Para fan, man. Look, just let me salt up, guys. I'm glad you're all very patient with it. I have no choice either. Watson's starting, whether it's hooker or mid, depends. If I trade Marnie, we'll have a look at Marnie at the Dogs as well. And then Luke Burt, not been picked this week. I wish he was. Marnie's been killing me this year. Maybe this was the week. Rebounces back. Gutting my head-to-head nemesis this week, and Matto breaks his rib. Oh, George, mate, that's a rough go, but this is the stuff that miracles are made of. You know, if you cop a few issues and you still win, that's the sweetest victory of all. So keep on fighting, man. Surely Marnie scores well, hopefully. And then any other questions here? Matto injured. Yeah, exactly right. So let's keep rolling through. All right, next game. How you guys going in your head-to-head finals, by the way? Drop a little message in. I want to know about your main league. Where'd you finish? And Do you have the bye this week, or do you have a matchup to play this week? And do you think you're going to win? Let me know how you're going into head-to-head finals. I want to hear from you guys about that, because that's the big thing right now. Overall players, we got like no trades left. But head-to-head players, you're the ones having the fun now. So doggies and Dolphins. So for the doggies here, Connor Tracy, Karaz, Zeri, Crichton, Adokar. We got Burton and Sexton. For this back line, it's probably just Karaz who's relevant here. So for Karaz, I wouldn't overreact to Zeri's decent score. I don't overreact to Crichton. He's sort of up and down as well. So I think if you're looking at Karaz, he's a very safe option. He's probably not the guy I'd get. I want a bit more upside out of my guys. But if you want a safe option with the center and wing fullback options there, that's decent. Matty Burton, big pod, but probably not the one I'm going for. Saying that if you like him, go and do it. Josh Curran, Reed Marnie, Sam Hughes, Viliami Kickout. We got Preston and Mann in the forward pack. Now, Curran, he's all good. He's not injured. He looks pretty sweet. Reed Marnie picked up a shoulder issue, played 57 minutes last week. He's fine this week. But again, if you have options in your team and you can trade, I'd trade him. If you have options in your team and you can maybe loophole him or leave him out of your team entirely, I would do that too. His scoring recently has been pretty terrible, and the injury risk with the shoulder is only going to lead to more missed tackles, that sort of thing as well. So with Reed Marnie, I'm out on Reed Marnie, and I say that as someone who doesn't have enough trades to get rid of him. So I'm going to be starting him, but if I had the options, I would be getting rid of him 100%. Now, for the rest of the team here, Preston's a nice little pod. Paulie, who I do NRL.com with, he loves Preston. He's a big Preston fan, and Preston killed it last week. So if you like Preston, Preston's very consistent, very solid. I know a few people are looking at Preston right now. I'm not the biggest Preston guy. I just think the injury history this year, and I don't love him as a fantasy scorer. I don't know. I would rather a few of these other options that are around instead. I just think the Dogs are spreading it around a bit too much for Preston to be that guy. And he's sort of gotten lucky with some big attacking plays, but at the same time, then maybe it's not luck. Maybe it's just him consistently producing great attacking plays. So it could be either of those things. I'm not in on Preston, but he is definitely a good option. So if you like him, go and get him 100%. And Jahu, yeah, Preston, my beloved, had Preston since he returned from the jaw. Look, he's your guy. He's your guy. He's been great for you as well, Paddy Carrigan. Preston got that dog in him. Yeah, look, I'm not against it. If I was buying this week, I like Ola Kawatsu and the Manly run home better, or I like Gus Crichton better as well. But you know, it's up to you. It's your fantasy side, guys. So if you like Preston, they're all kind of even. Like if you did an analysis of them all, they're all pretty close to each other. But it's just your preference, your choice. Do you want to be rooting for the Dogs each week as well? Then go get Preston. For the rest of the team here, is there anything on the bench that we need to see? Hayward, Moran, Hayes, Salmon, not super interesting. And the extended bench, there's nothing doing there either. I can't believe Drew Hutchison was starting over Toby Sexton as well. Start of the year. That was crazy. That was crazy. Going through to the Dolphins, I'll do some questions. So Hammer, Asako, Avarillo, Farmworth, Bostock, Nick Rima, and Katoa. What are we doing here? Herbie Farmworth, mate. Herbie Farmworth. How good was the Herb? Yeah, he's killing it. I'm not desperately trying to buy him if I didn't have him. So I've got Herbs, but if you don't have Herbie, you don't need to break your team to go get him. He has those games in him, and he can have those massive games, but they're not going to be a consistent thing for him unless you think they are. It's 4 weeks left, and if you think it's a worthwhile move, you can make it. But I think Herbie Farmworth, I wouldn't be targeting if I didn't have him already. The rest of the team here is pretty inconsistent. So guys like Hammer, Asako, Bostock, they're all pretty attacking stat reliant. So unless you think the Dolphins go on a meteoric run for the last 4 weeks, I'm avoiding all of them. Then Jesse Bromwich, Max Plath. We got Pangai Jr., Kafusi, Lemuelu, Bromwich. So Kafusi, some big attacking plays last week. Big score. Maxi Plath, mate, this guy unstoppable at hooker. Made like 60 tackles, had a bunch of attacking plays, set up one of those Herbie tries. I can't believe Max Plath, man. Like, you know, when I traded him out, I had those things, like, he was at a good price. So I didn't necessarily want to sell him, but I could do a one trade move, Plath to Cleary. So for me, it made sense. I know a lot of you guys got off him as well. It's a tough one. I got to be honest, and I am going to put this out there. I don't think anyone saw this coming, like him being as explosive in attack as a hooker as he has been. I think a lot of people were sold on him being like a 50 average kind of guy, and they're saying, hold on to the 50 average. But he has been so much better than literally every single person in the world thought he'd be. Can he maintain it is the other question. Not enough to buy him. So he's not a buy in my mind, which is a risky call. If you like him, go do it. But I think he's not a buy. I'd rather go get like a Cam Murray at lock, for example. But yeah, I wouldn't buy him. But if you have him, stick with him. Keep riding that wave. He's absolutely killing it for you. I've got him in a few draft leagues, particularly in Supercoach, where he plays 5'8", which is a tough spot. So yeah, I'm riding that wave with you guys, but just not for fantasy. For the rest of the forward pack here, look, there's not too much else to talk about here. So guys like Pangai Jr., Lemuelu, they can get a big score every now and then, but they're not guys that we would be targeting as well. I'll hit some of these questions here. So who have we got? Right, you've got McLean, Tungo, Howarth, and Anderson. Ooh, I'd probably be going... that's hard. That's hard. Just try to loophole as much as you can. I like Tungo the most out of that group, personally. Then Plath, Murray, or Turbo. Probably Murray, Turbo, and Plath in that order, I would say. But it depends what your team needs, right? So whatever one of them gives you the best depth as well. Keep that in mind because you're going to need to be covering things in the next few weeks. Is Madison nursing an injury or was it fake news? I think he's cooked. So treat him as injured right now and just keep an eye on, make sure you follow us on Instagram, Casual NRL on Instagram. And we'll keep you updated there. Who you're priority looping? Probably those first game players, right? So you want some upside in those first couple of games. Going to win head-to-head and draft beast mode, mate. Beast mode. Love it. You better be back next week giving us an update. Thoughts on DCE? I think he's carrying an injury, and I wouldn't be buying him. But if I had him already, you got to stick with him. The reason I think he's carrying an injury is because Brooks kicked more than DCE last week. He really took over. DCE wasn't doing a lot of general play kicking at all. So a little bit worried about that if I was a DCE owner, but don't target him. Who's the best hooker option for Reed? Probably... hooker sucks right now, doesn't it? Plath doesn't play hooker. If he played hooker, we could talk about something there, but I'd probably be targeting Connor Watson. I think he's cheap, and I think there's massive upside in Connor Watson. So if you don't have him already, he's a very good hooker option. Is Murray the pickup? Yes, Murray is a great option this week. Joe Rogan just got announced. Team list probs wasn't changed in time. Now look, Para are a little bit lazy, Jahu, so they just copied and pasted it from last week. Then love good Herb, the Herb, love it. Felice Kafusi, 57-point pod, what a king. I did curse Keeney. I'm sorry, John. It's the worst. I was looking at three guys because sort of thinking, all right, the three guys I really liked last week, as I already had Ponga, right, were Keeney, Lomax, and Turbo. And I thought I saw Lomax and Turbo scoring tries in their matchup, so I just thought Keeney's had those really strong base scores, so he'll do it for me. Low score. But he'll be back this week. Keeney will be back, so don't stress it. Plath reserving a spot in the Queensland bench next year. He's a great option for that. Sam Hughes, is he good? Not great, but you can live with it for a sort of 35-point game. Plays lock as well. Plath's been a blessing. He's been absolutely killing it. And then keep rolling through. I had to hold Plath for cover. Got lucky. Hey, luck and skill, they're the same thing in fantasy, so don't stress it. How do people get enough money to get so many good players? So this is the big thing next year. We will start doing research in January. We're going to go crazy next year. So we'll start doing research in January. We'll go into the cash cows, lots of stuff. The big thing, LPJ, is that you've got to get the guys who are underpriced. So you've got to find those guys who, they're underpriced and you think they're going to make a second-year leap. So someone like Kai Pierce-Paul, for example, I'll have my eye on him because if he can lock down a starting spot for next year, I think he has a big second-year leap because he started strong. He's sort of cooled off. There hasn't been any attacking stats. I could see him jumping sort of 5 to 10 points next year. So it depends where he ends up. I'm hoping his average sort of drops down to about a 40 over the end of the year. And I think he could be a 50 to 53 kind of guy next year. So you're just trying to find those guys who are undervalued and make that cash start of the season. As Damien says, cash cows, cash outs, etc. Now, keep rolling through here. We've got Murray. Should have hopped on early, but look, Murray was a pretty average buy at lock. At the second row. He was a really average score at the second row. So you got a 50 score with a try in the second row. It's not great. But as a lock, he's an absolute monster. Eli back saved the day. Love that, Jaden. Sorensen for Murray. Great trade. Really good. Jai Gray going to go off against Tigers, and Jai Gray looks like he's holding that spot for the rest of the year as well. Obviously, a bit of controversy around Latrell. So I doubt Latrell comes back into the team this year. I reckon Jai Gray's got it locked down. Then Dylan Brown for Watson. Can't say no to that. That's a really good option. Murray or Watson for the back end of the season? Probably Murray at lock, right? I own Watson. I don't own Murray. I think Watson has bigger upside potential. So if Watson plays 80 minutes, he's better, but Murray is safer. So I'm probably going to say Murray. But if you want the big upside play, go with Watson instead. What's up with Matto being named? Parramatta, they can't do anything right, mate. Like, they can't even name a team list. Then best middle forward options with 717, probably Murray, I would say, is the best option at that price. Maybe Connor Watson. And then anything else here? Jack Williams, Victor Radley, or Samuel Afino, one of them for the draft grand final. Whew, I mean, you want a loophole is the first thing I'm going to say there. So I would go between Jack Williams and Jack Williams and Victor Radley, I would use as my loopholes. So the one who plays first, put them on your bench, make them an emergency. So you have to manually set them as an emergency, and then put the other one on the starting side, and you can do a loophole right at the end. Is Murray a good buy? Yeah, Murray's a great buy. Cam Murray is good. Cam Murray's good, guys. Get Cam Murray. I love it. Why is Stefano doing so bad? He just seems to be a bit out of it. Low minutes, low intensity, no attacking stats. That's the big thing. Keeney or KP for the run home. Probably Ponga, I would say, but Ponga wasn't that convincing last week. And then, Murray's the best lock in the game. Mate, best lock in the game, Cam Murray, 100%. Should I trade Kalama Tungi or wait till after Tigers? I think wait and see how he goes. He's probably like a 45 to 50 average in the back row, but he might heat up. We'll see. And then for feeder for Murray, absolutely not. No, stick with the feeder. Keep the feeder 100%. All right, let's keep rolling through here. So we got the Cowboys and the Raiders, and the Cowboys couldn't do anything right over the weekend. They got spanked. They got absolutely spanked by the Broncos. The Raiders, hopefully some big attacking plays for our Raiders boys here. So for the Cowboys, we've got Drinkwater, Felt, Holmes, Vilea, Talangi, Dearden, and Clifford. Clifford comes in here, which is interesting. Probably worth noting for your draft teams. Scotty Drinkwater, really quiet game. Val Holmes, really quiet as well. Talangi didn't play the full game, which is a bit concerning. Then the forward pack here, we got McLean, Robson, McIntyre, Lukey, Finafuiaki, and Cotter. Cotter went all right last week. Harrison Edwards, McKaylee, Purdue, and Neem are on the bench. And then, Chad Townsend out of the team, which, Clifford's a goer. He's a goer. I don't hate this move for them. In terms of this team, I'm going to bang through it pretty quick because none of these are buys. I wouldn't buy anyone from the Cowboys except maybe. No, I wouldn't even buy. They got the buy next week as well. There's nothing in it. But hold or sell. I'm going to do this quick fire and then we'll do it properly in buy, hold, sell. Drinkwater is a hold without being inspired by it. Val Holmes is a hold. He's sort of streaky. He's up and down. Then who else might you have? You might have Reece Robson. Hold, but if you want to sell him, you can. And then Ruben Cotter is definitely a hold. He's been really solid. Shock. For the Raiders, let's go to the Raiders here. So K.O. Weeks, Seb Chris, Matt Tomoko, Ethan Strange, Xavier Savage, Adam Cook, and Jamal Fogarty. So Cook comes back into the 6th spot. And before we go into the Raiders, let's see anything interesting here. So Holmes, decent pod. He was the big pod that I liked before the Tigers game. That was the big thing. Other than that, nothing to do. Please be named Fermor. Yeah, I haven't seen that yet, so we'll see what happens there. Jock Wallace, race me. Jock, mate, this is Jock, by the way, guys. He's in a couple of my fantasy leagues. A lot of free time on his hands because he didn't make the finals. Actually, I think you made the finals in one of them, didn't you? Just scraped in. So you'll have a lot of free time in your hands after next week. Madison, ribs not broken. No, he's cooked. He's done. Time to go Drinky 2. Yeah, look, not the worst option. Hilongi, I just joined. Would it be better for the run home if they are both playing Dylan Edwards, Pod, or Teddy? Dylan Edwards isn't that great when Cleary is playing. So Dylan Edwards is more like a 52 average when Cleary plays. So objectively, it's Teddy. But if you want a pod, Dylan Edwards isn't a bad one. And I'm cookie to ruin Fogarty's scores. Yeah, he's done and dusted. Fogarty's not going to be a top gun, which is... It's weird that they're changing up the team like this, but hey, Ricky Stewart's going to do Ricky Stewart things. Rapana's out. Yeah, he got hurt pretty early in that game. Do I keep Garrick? 100% keep Garrick. Yes. Keep Garrick. Ethan Strange in the centers. Yeah. I don't know why they're doing it, but hey, they're doing it. Garrick or Iro to start this week. Probably leaning towards Garrick, but let me check out the Sharks matchup. All right. So, by the way, I think Iro is actually good enough. So I've been using Iro on my bench. I've been using him on my bench just because he's good enough to be on the bench, sort of that 45 to 50 average. But yeah, for this Raiders team here, KO Weeks has been going all right lately. Cowboys is a game where he could potentially exploit it. So if you've got KO Weeks and you want to use him on your bench or as a cover option at wing fullback, don't be afraid to do that. I don't mind that move. Ethan Strange at center, I'm not super hyped on if you have him. Try not to start him. Fogarty is demoted with Cook back, so he's probably more like a 50 average at half next to Cook, which it's fine, but it's not inspiring. And then for the forward pack here, we got Papali'i, Starling, Tarpanay, Hudson Young, Elliot Whitehead, Morgan Smithies. We got Levi, Gula, Mariota, and Sasangi. So forward pack here, Starling had a really, really bad game last week. Levi's back on the bench. I'm a little worried about Starling. But you got to start him. Because he's been so good. But I'm a little bit concerned. Then Joey Tarpanay, he was on track for a massive score. Got the sin bin for descent. Mate, just keep your mouth shut. But yeah, he copped that sin bin, ruined his score a little bit, but still solid enough. So you're enjoying him. Elliot Whitehead was a top 10 scorer last week, which is absolutely ridiculous. And then Hudson Young. If you've got him, stick with him. He's going to be high and low. He sort of bounces around his scores. But if you've got him, stick with him. If you don't have him, I wouldn't target him as a buy. Saying that, I think this is a good matchup for Hudson Young this week. So some exploitable edges for the Cowboys. Huddy Young, I reckon he's going to go big this week. That's a call I'm going to make. Then for the rest of the Raiders, nothing really super noteworthy to go through. So I'm going to keep rolling through and get to the Tigers and the Bunnies. Now, this is normally a pretty good game. And the Tigers are playing for the avoidance of the spoons. So they're going to have a lot to play for, whereas the Bunnies, I don't know what they're playing for. So for the Tigers here, Dream Buller, Bali, we've got Fair-Tape, Dewey, Staines, we've got Galvin and Caesar in the halves, Tokamanu, Coruscant, Clemmer, Seyfarth, Samuel Afainu, and then Isaiah Papali'i in the forward pack. Then Talon De Silva, Fainu, Poli, and Twile on the bench. So some minute eaters on the bench. Ruben Porter is out of the 17. Okay, so for the Tigers here, what are we doing? A few guys asking questions. So Buller, yeah. Look, I wouldn't be targeting him. Necessarily. Then sitting out JDB, Fino, Blore, and Casey. So probably all score great. Yeah. I mean, your team's looking pretty good if you can sit out JDB, Fino, and Blore in particular. Marnie to Watson and Keon to Murray. Ooh. These are upgrade trades, but I don't love the idea of going to zero trades for you. So I'm going to say no, but they are both good trades. Then rolling through here, got Connor Watson clean. I have Galvin, Coruscant, Fino, worth holding on through with the buy coming up. If you've got trades to use, it's probably going to be, I don't know, it's a tough one. I mean, Galvin's at a higher price. You could sell one of them. Really, they're all a bit inconsistent, right? So Galvin's probably got the highest scoring upside. Coruscant, if you need a hooker, keep him. Fino, I don't trust at all. So, yeah, you could sell one of those guys if you want to, or save the trade instead. Is Isaiah Papali'i interesting for next year? 100%, my man. Yeah, so John, Isaiah Papali'i at the Panthers is very interesting. By the way, guys, John is one of the guys who wrote one of the articles that we put up on the casualathlete.com.au. So, welcome to the stream, John. But yeah, Isaiah Papali'i is definitely one we're going to be targeting. Moving to Panthers, there's going to be some big attacking stats, especially if he's on the edge. Then, yeah, Ice is going to Rift, play edge. Good shout. Then he's going to tear shit up at second row. Mate, he's got some try-scoring pedigree, 100%. I'll buy a trade for $500. I wish I could sell you a trade for $500. That would be a great business, wouldn't it? And then it's Kalabatangi a sell now. I mean, let's go into that. Let's go into the bunny side of the ball. So we got Gray, Myers, Milne, Kenner, Gagai, and we've got White and Walker in the halves. David Mwale, Damien Cook, Sean Kepi, Kalabatangi, Tallis Duncan, and Cam Murray. All right, so this team here with Mama Zealous, Host, Burgess, and Shakai Mitchell. It's interesting. It's interesting. So Host is on the bench there. There could be late changes. So first things first, Mama Zealous being on the bench is bad news for Cook. It just is. It doesn't always manifest, but it can absolutely be bad news. For the rest of the Bunnies backline, Jai Gray should go well this week, but he is a bit up and down, right? So he has big scores in losses and low scores in wins where he scores tries. So Jai Gray is really hard to predict, is basically what I'm saying. I think he'll go well, and I'm going to start him this week against the Tigers, but there is risk with him as a fantasy scorer. Jack Whiten, I think, is really safe. So if you got him, that running game is going to be on show this week, and he should be a solid option for you. Rest of the back line, I'm not super convinced on. If you've got Fletcher Myers as a cash out and you're absolutely desperate, you can do it. I doubt you have many of the others. Maybe some of you have Tane Milne because you're cheeky. But other than that, not a lot of this back line. For the forward pack here, Damien Cook, you got to start him until the wheels fall off, right? So keep on rolling. I've got Cook in a couple of drafts, and I'm not convinced that he's going to do me a good job in the grand final, but the next couple of weeks, you just got to stick with it. Koloamatangi on the edge. I think this is a good matchup for Koloamatangi, so you just got to stick with him as well for now. But if you have 3+ trades, you could look at trading him. So it's really 2 or 3+ trades to be trading Koloamatangi. He is a much lower scorer, though. So he goes from like a 60 average at lock to like a 45 to 50 average in the second row. Cam Murray goes back to a 60 average at lock, so Cam Murray becomes that awesome option. A few guys asked before, but Cam Murray is a great shout. And then the other guy I want to talk about here is Tallis Duncan. He's available at mid in fantasy, so you don't want to buy him for your classic team. It's not going to happen. But for your draft teams where maybe you're short of mid, and maybe you're a draft team that had Madison, Sorensen, these sorts of guys, talking to you, Jock, a guy like Tallis Duncan could be a great shout. He'd be a guy you grab, and he will do a job on that edge. Potential attacking upside there as well. So I like him for draft leagues. Now, let's just go through a few questions here. So what do we got? We've got IPAP. Going to get back to these Eels fantasy form. I think so. I think he'll get close to that 100%. I thought you were talking about Pappenhausen. No, not Pappenhausen to Penrith. That'd be crazy. Weeks to Gray and Marnie to Murray. These are luxurious trades. I'm not into it, but if you want to, you can. They're both slight upgrades. Tallis Duncan or Sam Fino in the draft, 100% Tallis Duncan by a decent margin, I think. Although, Souths have been leaking some points, so maybe Fino. I'm leaning Duncan, but it's just a feeling. Fino could go as well. Deciding to hold Gray with a low break even, looking to get Ponga next week. Yeah, I mean, you don't have to sell Gray, but decent option. Do you think the Latrell news will affect Souths? I don't think it affects too much, but I think it locks in the fact that Gray will play up to around 27. So we talked about that being a very real possibility based on the injury, but that definitely hurts his chances of coming back as well. So I think it just means Gray keeps playing. Latrell will be dealing with whatever. I don't know. Too many people are sort of putting it, like posting it. I'm not super into the trashy Paul Kent-esque tabloid media stuff. So Piakura to Crichton or Watson or Murray? Ooh, Crichton, Watson or Murray? Probably for safety, it's Murray, Crichton, Watson. For upside, it's Watson, Crichton, Murray. So Crichton's number 2 in both of those. Murray is the safe play, and Watson is the upside play. Kind of your call on what you want out of that. If I was making the move, I'd probably be doing it based on what positions I need. So if you're short at hooker, get Watson. If you need a second rower, get Crichton. If you need a middle, get Watson or Murray. I'm kind of leaning Watson on a feeling, actually. That's kind of where I'm going. I reckon one of the Roosters boys. Murray is that safe option, though. So it's kind of up to you. Do you want the safe option in Murray? Do you want the upside of Watson or Crichton, who's kind of a bit of both? We got Marnie, trade to Murray. This is an upgrade. Yeah, this is absolutely an upgrade. I'll go Koloamatangi to Cam next week, I reckon. Ooh, big shout. That's a big move. Big move from the number 1. Then Kaloa, Holden Supercoach, 100% at least this week. Definitely holding for this week. Karen, Watson, Fainu, Victor Radley, Jack Williams, or Tallis Duncan. Pick 3 for draft. Am I just going to play your draft for you? Come on. You can pick Watson for yourself here. That's an easy one. Then I'm probably leaning towards Karen and Duncan, or maybe Karen and Williams. it's a real gut feel. You got to make your own call there and trust your heart. Do a bit of loopholing as well. That's easy play. Fourth place, my in-laws head-to-head comp. Nice, Luke. Good shout, mate. Hopefully you beat the in-laws. You got to prove to her dad that you deserve her, mate, through that fantasy skill. And then got 0 trades. I'm cooked. Yeah, you're done. You're done for. What middle should I buy? I can afford any except for Yo. Murray's a great one. Connor Watson's a great one. Just get someone who doesn't have a buy, basically. If they don't have a buy left and they're in a good spot, you get one of those guys. So all those guys we're talking about. Chickham to Watson or Murray. Watson is the upside play. Murray is the safe option. You make your own call there. Murray is probably the better option, but Watson has huge upside. Just grab Duncan. Cheers, mate. No worries, Jock. No worries. Good luck with the matchup this week. Manu, a sneaky pod. Ooh. Yeah. At 550K, he's pretty cheap as well. He has that upside capability. I'm not confident that he pops off, but he's got a lot of upside, so I don't mind that at all. Sorensen to Longy, Bergs or Beers. You got to go to Longy, 100%. So, Bergs and Beers, they're good shouts, but Longy does the minutes. Longy does the minutes. So you want that big minute option. Then, cheers, no worries. And then Marnie, a sell. Yeah, he's a sell, but don't use your last trade to do it. You know what I mean? That's sort of where I sit on him. So to summarize here, Damien Cook, stick with him. Cam Murray is massively upgraded. Kalamatangi is downgraded, but stick with him for this 1 week. Whiten and Gray are guys that you can start this week, and I think they should go well. And on the Tigers side of the ball, you might as well keep starting Galvin. He went well last week, so keep it rolling. The rest of this team, I'm not really convinced on at all. So let's keep rolling through. We got Dragons and the Titans, and this is a hard one. This is a really hard one to call. So the Dragons and the Titans, they both have these games where they look like 100% bona fide final sides. And then they have games where, the Dragons a few weeks ago against Penrith, where they got destroyed. The Titans last week, where they got absolutely decimated. It's very hard to make predictions on these two teams. So who's going to win this game is anyone's guess. In fact, drop your prediction in, guys. Who do you think is going to win this game, Dragons or Titans? And if you want extra credit, put a score prediction in as well. If you're not, just put a team in. But for the Dragons here, I'll start going through the fantasy side. So Sloan, Lomax, Finai, Tupelotu, Flanagan, and Hunt. Flanagan is, good shout, Flanagan out for kissing. He is pleading not guilty. So we'll see what happens. The Dogs aren't testifying or anything like that. So I reckon he might get off. But we'll see what happens there. Then the rest of the team here, Lomax is probably the one that you're considering. Lomax is fine, man. He's averaging 50 points. He has plenty of attacking plays in him. He has a big advantage. I'm trying to think. He's on the right side, pretty sure, Lomax. Lomax is on the right, and I think it's Cam Pereira on the left. So Lomax has a big advantage over Cam Pereira in the air. Yeah, I reckon Lomax will score a couple of tries in this game. So if you like Lomax and you want to get on him, love it. Dual position, awesome option. And if you got him in your team, absolutely start him. For the forward pack here, we got Frankie Molo, Little, DeBellin, Leilua, Sua, Eisenhuth. Little has been popping off some decent scores recently, but I wouldn't target him with a trade. DeBellin's minutes aren't high enough to trust him as a starter. Luciano Leilua in draft leagues is a guy that, I've got in a few leagues. He's not that reliable, but he's got some big upside. Jaden Sua should pop off in this game as well. He normally does in this sort of matchup. Tommy Eisenhuth, he's been playing big minutes lately, so you can stick with him if you have him. And then the rest of the bench, I'm not super interested in. Jack Bird is back, but only really relevant if he's a starter. For the Titans side of the ball, we got Keeney, Cam Pereira, Kelly, Sami, Jojo Fafita, Jaden Campbell, Kieran Foran. Then we have Jolliffe, Verrills, Clark, Fafita, Haas, and Randall. So Keeney is a guy who hurt us last week. He hurt us. No Bo Firma either. Yeah. So Keeney hurt us last week. I don't know. I'm sure he'll bounce back. Keeney will bounce back. That was a game where they just got pumped and there was just nothing on offer for him. So, Deja who? Keeney did it, not me. I reckon he'll bounce back. So if you got Keeney, 100% starting this week. Jaden Campbell as well. I actually reckon Campbell has a massive game this week. And I'm not a Campbell owner, so there's no reason for me to be biased. I just reckon Campbell's been a bit quiet the last couple of weeks. I think he pops off this week. I'm feeling a Campbell 80-point game. I reckon he's going to go absolutely huge. So, if you got Campbell, again, I think he's a bona fide starter. Even with the last couple of weeks being quiet, I think he crushes it this week. For the forward pack here, we got Jolliffe, Verrills, Clark. Then we have Fafita, Haas, and Randall. Decent question here from Xavier. Jolliffe is a pod play. Ooh, I don't trust the minutes. I don't trust the minutes. Like, he could. There's been a few changes to the roster where he could, but I don't trust the minutes. Like, I wouldn't be getting on Jolliffe. Really, it's just Dave Fafita here. Chris Randall is a guy that can put up a good score, but I'm not targeting anyone in this team, really. Then for the rest of it, AJ Brimson on the bench. A bit of talk that Brimson could play at a few spots, so a bit of lock potentially. He might be backline cover. He might come on at fullback. There's a lot of problems that could be caused by Brimson coming on, but I'm keen to see how it plays out. Hopefully, if there are reports, I'll post them 100%. So Discord as well. Shijahu, maybe drop the Discord link here too. But Discord will be where we put any speculation. Other than that, I really don't know where Brinson's going to play. I'm kind of shocked he's on the bench, to be honest. Let's see the score predictions, by the way. So what do we got? We've got Titans by 12. Decent shout. I reckon they could pop off. Titans 36-22. That would be the kind of fantasy game we absolutely want. Dragons, because they lost last week, they are win-loss, 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 100%. Dragons 30-12. Decent shout here. And we got Titans again. 34-28. That is what we want. Titans 1-7. Titans 42-12. A lot of Titans fans. No firmer. And just another accusation of me hurting everyone. Me buying Keeney was not a curse. It wasn't a curse. It was he was pulling back just to save himself for this week. That was what was happening. Then, Jahu's got the Discord link there, and Aussie Frost King. Ball playing lock. I don't think Brimson is a ball playing lock long term. I don't think it's going to last, but it could happen this week. It's pretty crazy. I mean, look, Des loves a crazy lock, so maybe it'll happen, but I don't see it happening for more than a couple of weeks. All right, so 4 o'clock on Sunday, we've got the Sharkies and the Knights. So we'll do this game, and then we'll do some trade questions at the end as well. But just do this game here first. So for the Sharkies and the Knights, let's see. Kennedy, Katoa, Ramian, Iro, Stone Street. We've got Atkinson and Blake Brayley, Rudolph McInnes, Kafusi, Nakora, Talakai, and Jack Williams. Now, bang, bang, bang. All right, who is relevant here? Kale Iro just keeps getting it done. Look, the Knights aren't a juggernaut at all. They were leaking some big points to some Tigers outside backs. So Iro is a guy you can keep on starting. He should be solid. For the rest of it, Atkinson is pretty good when he plays next to Brayley in the halves. So if you have Atkinson, I trust him this week. And then for the forward pack here, Cam McInnes, I think he'll play better this week. I think he'll score a bit better this week. But it wasn't 80. It wasn't 80 minutes either, which you don't love. Then we got Rudolph, Kafusi. I mean, Nakora needed some big attacking plays to get that score. So again, I don't trust Nakora at all. Jack Williams, I wouldn't be targeting him, but if you got him in draft, decent shout. Then, good shout here too. Legend edits. So Ronaldo Mortallo could sneak back in. I reckon 1 more week. Original diagnosis like 4 weeks, and this is a bit soon. So I think maybe 1 more week, but could come in. I mean, Stone Street's been playing really good footy, though, so I doubt they rush him back. Then for the Knights here, we got Ponga, Sharp, Gagai, Lucas, Marzu. So Lucas is out late last week. He's back this week. Gamble, Crossland, and then in the forward pack, Safidi, Brayley, Thompson, Frizzell, Pierce Paul, and Adam Elliott. And then we go through to Cogger, Croker, Hetherington, and Brady Jones. So for this Knights side, a few things I'll throw in here. So Ponga, I think is fine. Like, he didn't get a massive score against Tigers last week, but he's fine. He's fine. He's going to go on a bit of a run for the run home, I think. He will have plenty of opportunities in this game. The Sharks aren't really a lockdown defensive side, but they played great last week. Like you said, Aussie Frost King. Yeah, good shout too, Jacob. Drop in the comments, guys. Who are you captaining this week? Garrick against the Wires is crazy, man. But yeah, Ponga, I think if you got Ponga, stick with him. He is absolutely great. And if you need a wing fullback this week, I still think Ponga is one of the best ones for the run home. So yeah, I'm high on him. Fletcher Sharp is one that I was really high on last week you have to play him last week. I really liked the wing matchup he had against the Tigers there. I don't like it as much this week. So he's going to get quality ball. He might score a try or two, but that was a pretty low score for 4 tries. And admittedly, they were tries where they weren't line breaks. They're sort of a bit fluky. Like, I reckon they lock down on Fletcher Sharp this week, and he gets a really low score. So if you're a Sharp owner, do not start him this week is my advice. If you want to go and do it and he scores another 4 tries, go and do it. But I just reckon he's going to be a bit quieter this week. Gagai and Lucas, I think, will have a big day. Marzu, ball will come back his way. So if you're a Marzu owner, I wouldn't stress that. And then for the forward pack here, I don't know, like what are you doing? You got Pierce Paul maybe? I'm not really trusting Pierce Paul completely. The rest of the team, none of these are really top-level keepers, but if you have Frizzell, you can start him as well. A few questions here. Which wing to start? Marzi. All right, so who to start? Marzu, Drinky, or Jai? Ooh, that's a tough one. I'm probably going Gray just on the matchup. The matchup gives you... So the matchup, just like, let's say they're equal chances of scoring the best. So they're all, 33% chance each. The matchup just bumps Gray up to like 40%, right? So it's just a bit of an easier matchup. I would go Gray. I just think he has more attacking opportunities in that game. But if I was going to pick out of Marzu and Drinkwater, I'm probably leaning towards Drinkwater over Marzu. So it probably goes Gray, Drinkwater, Marzu for me. Shooting other trade questions through, guys. I'll hit a few of those before we finish up too. Atkinson or Luke Brooks this week in draft? Ooh, I would bet that you could start Atkinson over one of your wing fullbacks instead, because Brooks, he's been in a bit of form lately. And if DCE has the injury I think he has, then Brooks is going to keep kicking the ball. So I'm probably going to say try to start them both if you can. Dillbags or Curran, who should I put in the interchange? Ooh, try and do a loophole is the first bit of advice there. But if you have to pick, I'm probably going to say Dylan Brown is my pick there. KPP or Sam Finu? Probably Finu. I'd say Finu. A bit more attacking upside. Decent matchup against South Sydney. My finals are starting this week. Have 3 trades. I'm thinking of doing Weeks and Marnie to Murray and Gray. Yeah. If you really, if it's an elimination final, then there's no point in saving trades, right? So Marnie is pretty dodgy for this week, and Weeks is a lower option than Gray. So I think for you, it's worth taking this gamble because you're in an elimination final scenario, and you just try and make it work for the run home, right? So I'm into it. I'm going to say yes to that trade question. Then, hey, Longy, I have a hard head-to-head this week, so I'm risking the captain. Who do you think, Burton or Ponga? Ooh, out of those two, probably Ponga for the upside. But if I was going to go a really crazy captain this week, I'm leaning towards, I think Connor Watson has big upside, or like a Gus Crichton, if you have those guys. Or I would go maybe towards, and this is a bit out there, but I think maybe that Titans matchup. So Campbell or Keeney, right? They've got big upside as well. So I'm probably leaning towards those guys over Ponga and Burton. But out of those two, I'd take Ponga as the higher upside option. Then who to start? CHT, Gray, Finu, or Sharp? Can't loop. Gray, then Finu, then CHT, then Sharp. So it's Gray or Finu. Really, they're the two that I'd be considering there. If you need to sell one of Fogarty and Hughes, who would you sell? Ooh, that's a hard one. Probably Hughes, just because Melbourne still might rest some of their players on the run home. If Melbourne rest players, Hughes will definitely get a rest. So that's the one thing there. I think Hughes and Fogarty are about even right now, but I would sell Hughes for that reason. All right, play Marnie or Gray for last bench spot. Marnie or Gray? Gray. I'd say Gray. Fafita, maybe. Yeah, Fafita's a good shout. Yeah, I wouldn't captain him necessarily. I'm not high. He's just not running the ball the way you want him to. Then Garrick or Manu for the run home. I think Garrick's a safer option. Garrick will probably be the better scorer, but Manu is that super pod who could absolutely go nuclear for you. And then my captain, Cam Murray, good shout, about a 60 average, so he should be solid. All right, guys, that is team list done and dusted. So hopefully that was useful today. We'll do buy, hold, sell tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. So buy, hold, sell is going to break down a lot of these options. There's a lot of guys that you need to sell right now who are injured. And at this point of the year, you really can't wait. 4 weeks left, right? So nail those head-to-head finals. Look at your draft leagues as well. The players should be freeing up either today or tomorrow. Other than that, shoot through your questions. Join us on Discord. Link is in the description. for those one-to-one questions, all that sort of stuff too. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on the next video. Good luck this week. Peace out. Have a good one.